welcome to Chlorine Callaloo. Good evening. Good evening and welcome to Chlorine Callaloo. I'm Kiara Goodridge of the Dolphin Swim Club. We are streaming live on the Facebook and YouTube pages of Chimbigo Freestyles and the Facebook pages of Move Along, Sydney and Boston, and the Center of Excellence Swimming Pool Complex. Remember to follow us, like the pages, and share the live. In the headlines, Carter and Thompson complete Olympic campaign. Marlin to win ASAT virtual competition. Chatur, Joseph, and New York review Olympics. And now our Chlorine News Splash. Dylan Carter and Sherelle Thompson completed their Tokyo 2020 Olympic campaign last Friday. Last Thursday, Dylan Carter re-established himself as the fastest in Trinidad and Tobago and the region in the 100-meter butterfly by achieving a new national record in the event at the Tokyo Olympics. Swimming in lane 7 of Heat 3, Carter stopped the clock in 52.36 seconds, eclipsing his 2019 mark of 52.64. He placed second in the heat behind Tomo Vass of Norway in 52.22. When the 8 heats were completed, Carter placed 33rd overall in the field. In the 50-meter freestyle on Friday, Carter placed second in Heat 6 in 22.46 and emerged 33rd overall after the heats were completed. Thompson later on made her Olympic debut in 50-meter freestyle for women and stopped the clock in 26.19 seconds. She placed 8th in Heat 7 and emerged 41st overall. Carter also swam 54.82 seconds in the 100-meter back and 48.66 in the 100-meter free in early events last week. Marlin's Swim Club won the Amateur Swimming Association of Trinidad and Tobago Virtual Land Training Video Competition. On Saturday, July 31st, the videos of the 9 participating clubs were streamed on the Zoom platform and Marlins won the grand prize of $500. Congratulations to Marlins Swim Club. Nicola Blackman of Marlins Swim Club will participate in the Barbados Long Course Swim Championships, which started today and will continue until Sunday. Blackman will be hoping to improve on his qualifying times for the Junior Pan Am Swimming Championships. Good luck, Nikolai. In Chlorine Callaloo News, Olympics, where is corporate TNT? In our chillaxing segment, host Sydney and Boston speaks with corporate communications professional and former swim mom Natasha Williams and Chlorine Callaloo producer Jason Wickham. They would explore how we can get more corporate sponsorship in swimming. By public demand in our Coaches Connection segment, we have 3 additional swimmers who expressed their views on the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Akil Joseph, Kael York, and Jada Chatur chat with Coach Rocky. Coming up next, we have our Visual Ice Chlorine Champions segment featuring national swimmer Emory University freshman Jada Chatur. Thank you for tuning in to Chlorine Callaloo, and remember to like and share this live. I'm Kiara Goodridge, and stay tuned. Up next, we have Jason Wickham hosting Visual Eyes Chlorine Champions. Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome to Chlorine Callaloo. This is a segment we call Chlorine Champions, and it is sponsored by Visual Eyes. I'd like to thank Visual Eyes for continuing to sponsor this segment. And today, our Korean champion is Jada Chatur of Marlin Swim Club. She's going off very shortly to Emory University. Hi, Jada.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'll start with the first question before I introduce you first. You know, when you're going to have a race, right? And everything just seemed to go wrong at the start. How you just bounce back from something like that?
Try and think of the positives, the good outcomes that can happen from the bad.
Right. So I'll try to that. We're going to have a very positive interview here. So this is Jada Chatur, Marlin Swim Club. She's a national record holder, a national swimmer, and in a few days she'll be going off, leaving us to go to Emory University. Good evening, Jada, and thank you for agreeing to do this.
Thank you for having me.
Jada, so let me start with this. You're from a family of swimmers, right? Your mom, you know, Camille Richards is still on the back of that Maracas open water jersey as the only female. We have your dad was a national swimmer. Your brother was a national swimmer. So since you're from a family of swimmers, was it in your DNA pressure to pursue swimming?
I don't think there was pressure from them, but I think growing up hearing from my parents' friends and my grandfather and my grandparents how good they were and all that they accomplished, it made me think, I want to be a part of that. I want to achieve that. I want to continue that for them. So that's what really got me into it. And we all started off learning to swim just for survival. You know, how everyone started learning to swim. And then when I reached about age 9, 10, I was like, okay, I think I want to take this seriously and do age group swimming. So.
I know your brother is in university as well too, following in his footsteps or making your own?
I'm trying to make it on my own, but...
Right. And be honest, I wanted to think back a few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. When you were in the womb, was Camille teaching you how to flip turn?
Rumor has it she was.
I am sure. I'm almost sure. So, Jada, Emory University, but before I go there, how have you managed having no CCCAN and not being able to do your last curve as well? How was that, and how have you been able to bounce back from it?
I think initially when we all found out, we were in peak training, so we were all heartbroken to find out that we're not going to have a last CRIFTA, and CCCAN was still pending by the time we found out. Right. And my mom, she said, just remember, everyone is going through this. So it's not just me, it's not just someone else. Hey, I think everyone in the Caribbean felt that heartbreak. So it helped me take time out and think about how I can improve my swimming on the mental aspect, like working on my confidence and different things that I wouldn't work on physically. And then I think the thing that I missed the most was the friends. Like these meets weren't just about swimming, it was building relationships with people from Central America and the Caribbean. And racing against them was something I always look forward to. So not having that. Last year or this year was pretty hard, but thank God for technology, we can communicate. Yeah. So
what were the main factors which would have influenced you to pursue studies in the US? And you could expand a little bit on why did you choose Emory University?
Yeah. So the plan was always for me to study in the US because I wanted as many opportunities as possible academically and to also continue my sport competitively. In the States, you have a wide variety of classes or majors you can take instead of being restricted to one area of study like law or med. If you do medicine, if you do law, you know, I don't have to pick immediately. And I tend to be an indecisive person. So when I was picking my universities or looking, I did not know what I wanted to do yet. Right. So being able to have options, the United States was the best choice. And my mom, she swam competitively, collegiately, as well as Graham. And when I was talking to them initially, they were like, it's one of the best experiences of your life. You learn so many life lessons. You meet these great people. You build these connections. So I definitely wanted to swim collegiately just to see what it was about and to learn. So I'm very excited. And then with regards to Emory, right. When my parents went to go see Graham in 2019 at the NCAAs, as soon as they came home, the first thing they said was, you have to look at Emory. It's a great swim team, and it's also a great academic school, which is also important. So I reached out to the coach, Coach John Howell, and he was super welcoming. He answered all my questions, and then he made the decision pretty easy for me to go there. And then also I met some members of the swim team, and from the initial Zoom call, like I was part of the team. You know, we were making jokes, we were laughing. It just felt right. And out of all the schools, Emory just seemed like the perfect.
So if you're now joining us, this is Jada Chaturo, national swimmer, national record holder. She's also training for the Junior Pan Am as well.
Yes.
Right. So you watched some of the Olympics 2024? What am I saying? Sorry. Did you watch Olympics 2020? Is he again confused because they have in Tokyo 2020 and 2021?
Yes. Yeah, I was able to watch the Olympics this year.
Right. What would you say is the main lesson you may have learned from Olympics this year?
I think one thing I definitely learned was how important the comeback is in your races, or how strong your second half of your race has to be. It's like these big races, we saw how strong the last 50 was, like Ariane Titmus against Kate Ledecky in the 50 free, how she was able to just pick it up and go. And then in the 1500 free, the American Bobby Fink was just his last 50, and the 1500 was like a 25-8, which led him to get the gold, which I think is absolutely an insane split. So I think one thing I learned is how important the comeback has to be, or how strong your second leg has to be.
So I better not go too much, because I kind of preview in the next segment. So that's it for Olympics. I'm not asking anything about Olympics 2020 again. Because a little spoiler, again, both here on the phone. So Jada is coming up in our next segment a little later on, where she and some other athletes will be reviewing the Olympics. But let's talk about you and Jada. Olympics I know you intimated to me that you would like to go to the Olympics. Are you looking at 2024? And do you already have a plan in place for a future Olympic appearance?
I don't know if there's a plan, but I hope I go to the Olympics. I think it's every athlete's dream to represent your country at the highest level. So I hope to get there. We'll see what happens in the future. But right now, that's one of the goals.
All right. So if you're now joining us, as I said, this is Visualize Chlorine Champions. Remember to check out Visualize for all your eyewear needs. Jada, I have some quick questions to ask you. Pet event.
800 free.
Who says that? No. 800 free. All right. You look at any race as punishment?
200 breaststroke.
200 breaststroke.
200 breaststroke. I don't think there's no reason for that race to be legal. It's too painful.
Right. Okay. What's your favorite type of mango? If you had to choose between a mango, a Julie mango or a Graham mango?
Julie 100%.
All right. Let me ask you a question. What do you think you would miss most about swimming in Trinidad and Tobago?
I think I've built a strong relationship with so many people here I've been swimming for 13 years, I'd say, like 10 seriously. And I think building relationships with my coaches, Maurice Farry was my first coach, he still is my coach, and Joseph McLeod, and they know me, they know my they know how I train, they know when I have hard days. And Marlins has been my home, the only club that I've ever been in. So I think just leaving that environment, it's a little scary. And then going into a completely new one. And then I think going to swim meets and you see everyone you know all the officials, all the other clubs, all the other coaches from the clubs. So I think maybe going to my first meet and not seeing a familiar face might be a little shock, but I'm excited.
And I have one final question for you.
Yes.
I want you to speak to a young female swimmers to give them some encouragement to keep swimming.
I think one thing that they should definitely remember is it's all going to be worth it in the end. All these sacrifices, I know growing up, I had to leave Limes early. I wasn't able to go out sometimes. I had training in the morning, or I'd miss all these things with my friends, or I'd have to swim on a Sunday when Sunday's supposed to be a rest day, and no one to swim on a Sunday morning. But I think looking back now and seeing where I am, I'm going to the school that I've always wanted to go to, and I'm going to be able to continue swimming. And all those sacrifices, they all seem worth it, and they're so small now. Like a few years ago when I was like 15, 14, around there, I would think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to make up for this. This is the end of my social life. Like, I'm done. But it's going to be there. It's always going to be there. And you're still going to be able to have fun. But think about what you really want and how important it is to you. And the sacrifice is always going to be worth it. That's what I think.
Shayla Chatur, I would like to wish you all the best, safe travels this weekend as you go across. I mean, anytime you have put on a red, white, and black tracksuit, you have tried your best to give it your all, and I think you have done you've made a very good effort in representing Trinidad and Tobago and being actually an example to other swimmers and other young ladies. So continue doing what you do and continue repping the red, white, and black.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Okay.
So that was Jada Chatur, our chlorine champion. Remember, this is a segment sponsored by Visualize. Check out Visualize at their 3 locations. You can contact them at 662 Eyes. And up next, we have Chillaxin with Cindy.
That was short and precise tonight. Good evening and welcome to Chillaxin. This is for those of you joining us for the very first time. Chillaxin is that part of this series where you just sit back, you relax, you grab yourself a cup of tea, maybe a glass of water with something in it. So tonight, we're chillaxing, and I'm bringing Jason back, not by choice, because this is his program and he demanded it. So he's joining me tonight. Also joining us tonight is Natasha Williams, and she's a corporate communications professional. She's joining me tonight for us to discuss. Hi, Natasha. We're going to discuss corporate sponsorship. We're not hearing you, Natasha. Are you hearing me? Yeah, but we're not hearing you. Can you say something? No. Natasha seems to be having a little bit of trouble tonight. So we're going to discuss corporate.
Can you hear Natasha? Can you speak?
Yes, I hear you.
Are you hearing Natasha, Cindy?
Yes, I'm now hearing her.
We're doing a little something here.
Oh, okay, something fancy. Natasha,
no, not too fancy.
Natasha, thanks for joining us tonight as we explore corporate sponsorship in swimming. You are also a swim mom or ex-swim mom, right? Which is it?
Ex-swim mom.
What did she say?
Ex-swim mom.
Ex-swim mom, right, and corporate communications professional. Oh, okay. So tell me, we're talking a bit about corporate sponsorship in swimming. That seems to be a little discussion that's been going around for many years, and especially when big meets like Olympics come up and we have people are like, okay, who are the sponsors for these athletes? What do you think? What is your take on corporate sponsorship?
Corporate sponsorship on who, whether it's
Athletes, or whether it's for a product, an event, it's always challenging. I've heard persons complain about what is the blueprint.
Just 1 second, because we're getting some feedback. I'm not sure
I'm
from
hearing
where.
feedback.
No, what happened is I'm not getting her. You hearing me, Cindy?
Yeah.
All right, because I'm not getting her audio for some reason. So I'm trying to see if I could get her via phone here, but the song not coming across too clearly. So
Natasha, try it without the phone, because I think we're hearing her. Try it without.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's better.
Yes.
Much better. Yes.
Great.
Hallelujah.
Yes. So we apologize. So yes, Natasha, tell me.
Yes, what I was saying is that corporate sponsorship, whether it's for athletes or whether it's for an event, has always been a challenge. And persons often ask about what is the blueprint to engage corporate sponsors. And I find that it's very wary or worrisome that something as in sport and as our elite athletes, that corporate sponsors don't jump on it readily as we would like them to, and as a support for Trinidad and Tobago. So that has been, as you mentioned, has been a wear and tear for an athlete, for an athlete's parents, for being an avid supporter of the sport. And what it is, I guess, what sponsors need to take, I guess, have their social responsibility to do their part.
So, okay, so let me ask you. So, because you said a lot, I would like to know, in your opinion, whose responsibility or who should the burden fall on to seek corporate sponsorship? Let's just say for a swimmer, for example, should it be on the swimmer and the parent, or should it be on the swimming body as a corporate entity or as a group to get that corporate sponsorship and to rally behind the athletes, whether it's in swimming, football? What do you think?
I think it's both. It's a give and take. It's 50-50. Not the swimmers so much, because these swimmers already have enough on their plate. I think what the swimmers' part is that they do their best.
Right.
Because really and truly, it's a brand, and it's in order for the corporate companies to buy in, they're buying into a brand. So the swimmers now, as the brand makers, it's up to the persons who support them. So the parents, as well as the swimming fraternity, comes as if they are the swimmers' promoters, you want to say, or marketing personnel. So you actually have to market your brand. So you believe in this sport, you believe in this swimmer. This is the person who you are branding, this is the person who you are marketing. So I believe it's half and half. It's the parent's responsibility in conjunction with the swimming fraternity.
All right. I have known parents who have tried to get corporate sponsorship. I mean, they have like gone all out and nothing. So they have had to come out of pocket each time.
Yes,
so to say to them, yeah, but it's your kid, you need to do more. I think it's a reflection to me on how we view sports on a whole.
Yes, to a point, Cindy, but also remember, from a corporate perspective, it is mileage. They're all about the dollar, I think some of them are willing to give, but the question they have to answer to most of them, they have to answer to the board of directors, is that what is the mileage we get out of this? What are we getting back? Now, as a swimmer, as an athlete, you don't get back tangible as dollars. But if it is that you have persons coming to your product, viewership. So let's give an example for a swimmer. You would probably, next question will ask, how does as a swimmer, how does that translate? But a swimmer, when you brand yourself, we have the new thing called the social media. So you're branding yourself in social media in a particular way. And to that page, you bring in viewers. So in the corporate mind, once you bring viewers, it is potential product users for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the way it's the give and take, or this is the way you market it, or you market each person. I agree with you that yes, we're not like other Caribbean countries would not name that they jump on and they motivate. But let's be real. We have a society of jump on the wagon when the wagon is going. If it is they're not seeing somebody else doing it, they're not doing it. But I think that could be turned around if we take the initiative. If it is a athlete, I'm not going to pinpoint just swimmers, is not serious about how they market themselves, because I think when you're in this for the long haul, right? It's only in for the you're not here just it's not a playground, but so you put in the effort, you put in the work. I know that persons would like to say that corporate sponsors are interested in events. Yes, I would say so. They would put that as first priority because they're getting back a dollar value. And that is why I think it's, or I shouldn't say think. This is why I would like to highlight that most of our swimmers, with the exception, I guess, of Dylan Carter, which I see his page is verified, and you put up, as the athletes progress along the way. This is what they want to see.
Yeah, but let me just interrupt you a minute, Natasha. I hear you, but I also I disagree to some extent, because we have athletes who have been proven themselves time and time and time again, and still having to literally beg for money. And Brian took the words out of my mouth, because I was just about to say, maybe we should form a swim juve band, like a juve section, because corporate sponsors tend to sponsor that type of, and don't get me wrong, cultural events are also very important and represent who we are.
Right.
But sports athletes, my son used to swim, and talking about many years ago, and not that many years ago, because I am not that, I'm like, maybe 2 years ago. I just don't want to age. Let's not get age and years mixed up here tonight, right? But he used to swim, and we had the problem back then, where people just weren't willing to support. And I can tell you,
Cindy,
yes.
Right. I would like to chime in. Itching to chime in for the longest while, but think about it too. Now, I agree that corporate Trinidad and Tobago could do a lot more, but we have to do a lot more. When your son used to swim,
when you say we, define we,
as in the persons who in the sport, those who in administration need to do more, because at the end of the day, when you were sending out your letters, etc., right? That sponsor may have been getting 25 letters from the same team, right? And it's not like we who have been in administration and are in administration have to take some of the blame, because we don't put out like concrete proposals as we should to the corporate Trinidad and Tobago. We feel when the meet comes in April that we write them 3 weeks before and expect them to put it in a budget. So if we as a people not taking sports seriously, right? And that's our culture. We look quick to go on we have keyboard warriors who quick to go on Facebook and see the athletes not doing this and the athletes not doing that, right? But I think it comes to the planning by those who are in authority, who have decision making. The sports administrators need to work harder. And then, because it's our culture to only, as you say, a bandwagonist kind of culture, right? Sometimes sponsors will jump on only when you win, because that's the only time they hear about you, right? We use Carnival, but Carnival people are much more organized than sports. You ever go to some of those Carnival events and see the logistics and things in place to get that working, right? We in sports take it too much as games, and that's why we are where we are.
So then what's your suggestion? Because what do you suggest?
Well, it's $1 million question, honestly, because I think at the end of the day, those involved in different, I mean, we have to make certain linkages with certain sponsors. There are some sponsors in swimming that have stayed around, but they have stayed around a lot of times because they have an interest in the sport. They like swimming and they like the fraternity, right? But outside of having friends who may like swimming, sometimes it's difficult to attract additional sponsors because aquatics sometimes is perceived as disorganized. How am I getting value for money? Why would I want
what Natasha is saying,
why would I want to associate my brand with something that seems like it's disorganized?
What do you think, Natasha?
I agree with Jason. You have to also remember most of these corporations that we are targeting, and I know everybody would target, and we talk around, Cindy, in your time, I know because, you know, as swim moms, swim parents, we talk about who we approach, and they're getting, as Jason said, numerous amount of applications for sponsorship. But the thing is, they have accountability to where they're going to spend this money, how they're going to spend this money. Because being in the corporate background, we do have a corporate spend, you know, because it's corporate social responsibility. There is a budget for that.
Right.
But you have
and
to
isn't there, like, not to think, but isn't there like a tax write-off and some tax benefit as well?
Yes, there is a tax write-off, but
Right.
still, it is not just I'm going to give ASAT 25,000 because I could always get it back. They still have to say from their end, okay, we're giving it to them because, and we're going to support this and this athlete from there, because we have seen that, okay, this person has done this, and by doing this, we are going to get visual, whether it's every time the athlete appears, that they're going to get signage. Every time the athlete goes on TV,
Yeah, but Natasha,
it comes down to dollars and cents in that way.
yeah, but then I think in order to get the athlete needs the money to get to that elite status. So then it's a sort of a catch-22, because they're saying, well, we need mileage, but in order for me to give you mileage, I need it back in. So it's like,
that is true.
How you understand?
But what I would do, from learning from the experience, from my experience to now, as Jason was saying, is that it's only when the team has to travel, we're looking for sponsorship.
Correct.
Why not start building a relationship? That's the best thing. Build a relationship. Build your portfolio. As athletes, you have you should be building a portfolio. And so then therefore keep seeing the person you send. Let's give an example. An athlete sending, I'm calling random, no affiliation, BP. I know my child is going to swim in Worlds come next year. All now, so BP is supposed to be getting numerous build up. This is what he's doing. But you're not asking for sponsorship as yet. This is what he's doing. You're kind of introducing the person. So as it comes up, you know when it's time to ask for that dollar, you'll be able to put that dollar value. And it's not going to look like, okay, you're only approaching us when it's crunch time, and they can see some sort of organization leading up to it. The fall part from it is that I don't know if it's changed now, but I know ASAT used to be a little bit disorganized in terms of, getting things done. And we had little internal politics in terms of things not being organized, 1 minute, last minute, this kind of thing. Those are the things that corporate TNT or any organization would look at in terms of stability. So if it is that we have in-house instability, it shows outwardly, then me as a corporate, we don't want to put our names next thing something comes up and we have to withdraw.
Yeah, Natasha, I think we're giving corporate a lot of credit because here's what I'm going to say. Listen to what I'm saying. I don't think, and this is just me, I don't think corporations are that involved or are that to know, you know what, ASAT, the board members in ASAT, they don't get along or they're a little bit.
No, I'm not talking about the board members, but you can see if it is that's why you have a corporate communications unit, because their job, it may not come up now, but if it is that I'm going to invest my money, I have a team who's going to look at the background, how many times it is that we change president, if there's anything that looms in, I'm not making it personal to any.
No, I'm not saying so. I'm just saying.
But the body, it really
I'm using because
they look at
listen.
that. So it's all about branding. So it's not just branding your individual swimmer, but you also have to brand the fraternity as well.
Mm-hmm. I think because going back to when, I was very involved in swimming. We would
long time ago.
About 2 months ago. The teams would perform very well, and the next year we would still have no support. So to me, I'm hearing you, but there is something else that's not adding up. And I think part of the problem is what we also touched on, both you and Jason mentioned it, is that ASAT as a body, there's no support for the parents, because the athlete themselves, they're working hard, they're swimming, they have school, the parents working too, and the parents belong to a club where they're paying a membership fee. So that there needs to be some sort of, even if swim teams, because if ASAT isn't doing it, then maybe the club should say, you know what, let's try to rally behind our kids in our own pool that we have here and see what we can do. You know what I mean? Or come together, different swim clubs come together and do, because we cannot just rely on the government. We shouldn't. The truth is, that's the truth. We shouldn't have to rely on the government for funding for athletes. I don't think so. There are other things the government should do, and that is in terms of schools, make sure that the schools and the pools, you know what I mean, that they are outfitted, those government schools and the students, and whether it's the curriculum and the kids, that. But in terms of funding at that level, corporate Trinidad needs to get involved and recognize that this is something viable and the kids are working hard. Yes,
let me just bring in one thing, because I know we get into that time. Yes, okay, the government bodies have to do things, right? But we as a people too have to learn to appreciate our people.
Correct.
I'm going to use Dylan Carter as an example.
Well, he's our swimmer in the Olympics.
He's a Commonwealth medalist, right? He's a world championship medalist, right? He's a 2-time Olympian and a lot of things additionally. Why it is I don't see Dylan Carter in any sponsorship anyway? Why don't I see him on any billboard? Why isn't he the person, the face of swimming? Why aren't we telling people to aspire? See what this guy has done. Let's aspire. Why we're not using the brand Dylan? And we missed the opportunity with George as well.
Yeah.
Right? And you telling me that our premier athlete, who Sportsman of the Year award, and a million other accolades. And despite whatever the associations, you telling me that we in Trinidad and Tobago can see that we have this athlete, and how can we positively use this brand?
Exactly.
Yes, it's a problem in the association, but it's a national problem we have where people have they don't appreciate the work that athletes have to do.
They don't respect the work that goes into taking someone to the Olympics. So saying that they need mileage and they're looking to see what more they want. He's
But as I said, I think it comes back to I do not think we as a fraternity have given a fair shot collectively. Individually, you would have gone through it. We have not collectively in the last 1,002 years given a collective shot to see how can we enhance the income that we coming into the sport via sponsorship. We haven't done it. So we could sit here every day and blame corporate Trinidad and Tobago, which needs to do better, don't get me wrong. But until we fix the house, we can't tell people how to spend their money.
So here's what we're going to do tonight. Natasha, you are in charge. I'm putting you in charge. Going forward, we can't do anything about the past, but going forward, and I will help. Jason knows that. If he reaches out to me and says blah, 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 I will help in any way that I can, because swimming is close to my heart. But we really need to do better, and this is a very light segment where we sit back and we laugh and we drink and stuff. So I hope people not feeling a little burdened. I hope they're drinking because I am. Yeah. So, Natasha, you have any closing words of what advice you would give to parents now who are looking on, who have swimmers or any other sport? What advice would you tell them? Would you give them?
What I advise is for the parents, don't be discouraged. Please encourage your athletes to do their best and continue with the sport. For us as parents, let us rally together because we know that we're not getting it for the government. The government, of course, will jump on the bandwagon, as Jason would say, after we have successfully laid the path. But let us see how we as parents could come together to brand our athletes, brand them, see how we could get mileage for them on television. Let's look at new innovative ways. We have a Ministry of Sport. Let's see if we can get an audience. I know that though we're not looking for sponsorship, but if it is that we could get a segment on television to where we could showcase and highlight, that's the start of a branding. We have social media. Let's get them. Let's get ads.
This is the segment on television.
Yeah.
Go.
I mean, national TV. Let's go big. When you turn it on, just before news, we highlight a swimmer. Just before news, we should have been highlighting an Olympic athlete so that persons would know that, these are who are going to be representing Trinidad and Tobago. So for swimming, let's start with our swimming fraternity and hopefully others will follow. And let's build the brand as what swimming is known as. Swimming is known as an elite sport. Let's bring it back to an elite sport where all bases are covered. And
so maybe that you just said something. Maybe that's the problem. Corporate probably looks upon swimmers as, well, they have money already. Why would they need because it is viewed as an elite sport. And I have been told that when I was seeking sponsorship from corporate, someone said that to me. Like, swimmers have money. That's why you're all in that sport. It's true.
Even if they have money, right? There's a Trinidad, there's red, white, and black. We like to sit long in front of the TV, and when the athletes do shipperness, we have everything to say about it.
Exactly.
All of us have a part to play. All of us who don't like to go and support me, who don't like to buy tickets and go to any football match, all of us, we have a culture in this country that stinks when it comes to sport. And
agreed. No respect.
And until we in the association too, we don't understand what needs to be done. I use the word "we" very loosely. We don't understand what needs to be done to get it done. I mean, transparent. We can start to talk about transparency, accountability, all those things, right? We have a national aquatic center now. Before they say it was facilities, we have it, and what?
And
right?
nothing. So it's a mentality that needs to change. We need to change our outlook, and let's try and get and change it.
Cindy, I have one more thing to say. I have some things looking strange on my computer here. So I want to tell people, just in case after this, something happens with the live, please log back on to Trinbago Freestyles Facebook and YouTube channel and check us back, because I'm seeing something looking off.
Natasha, thank you so much for your input. I hope something comes of this, and so that those that are coming up could benefit in some way, and we can get corporate to
stand. And I'm available, Cindy, and I'm available, Jason. If we're doing this, let's do it right, and let's hit the pitch while it's hot.
Natasha, come back with that. Let's do this again.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Very well.
Cool.
Cindy.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Coaches Connection. All right, so Jason stole pieces of my interview a little earlier, but it was nice to see the last segment dealing with the administrative part of swimming. What I will be honored with this evening is talking with three young upcoming swimmers, all who would have been through some of the rigors discussed in the last segment, right? So I'll introduce them. We started Akil Joseph, who is currently at the University of Indianapolis, sophomore studying general engineering. The other two names and faces you would have seen either earlier tonight or last week, which you have KL York, a senior at the University of Indianapolis, majoring in business administration and management, as well as Jada Chatur, a freshman at Emory University, and will be pursuing biology on the pre-med track. Right. Firstly, well, good night to everyone on the panel and listeners. Right. Jada, I want to applaud you. You spoke very well. Right.
Thank you.
I still see you as the little girl who went goodwill running around, and it's really nice to hear you speaking. Honestly, I applaud you. Your mentality, your drive, your determination. You have your head on. Go out there and do great things, man. That is really nice to see.
Thank you.
It's really nice. I heard you in particular mention the part about sacrifice down the road. And I mean, it's human nature to want to forsake that sacrifice. We think success we could skip around and take a shortcut. But the sacrifice and the little pain, I'm sure you don't remember how you felt at 13 years old after 400 IM. You will remember the years in Emory and the success you will receive. Right, so I mean, keep on pushing on and inspire the future, man.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
KL,
Hi.
how are you doing?
I good.
We are here again, but just now we are getting a salary.
I'd join weekly.
Right, so we'll go around the clock. So it's out with KL, then Jada, then Akil. Right. So KL, have you been viewing the Olympics?
Yeah, every day, every morning up early, 7 a.m.
Yeah. Well, it's easier than the 5 o'clock training session, so I suppose.
Yeah. True.
You're accustomed to that.
Yeah.
Right. What's your review of the Trinidad team? Not necessarily swimming alone. If you watch other Trinidadian athletes, what do you think? What's your views?
To be honest, I think based on the times that we are in right now with the COVID, and I know training has been a hazard for most people, especially athletics on here. I think they have been doing really well under the circumstances, and I don't believe that they have done bad. I just say that they're doing the best they could under this current situation, you know. So I'd say really good.
Okay, nice. Jada, have you been following up the Olympics? Well, you said so earlier. So
Yeah.
what's your views on Trinidadian athletes? I mean, not restricted to swimming, but what do you think?
I'm proud of them. I think they did a great showing. I think this year was definitely not the most practical year, but these past few months, especially with the pandemic hitting last year. So I think that they could. It was very difficult to train here given the circumstances. I mean, anywhere in the world with lockdowns. So.
Nice. Mr. Joseph, what about you? You've been watching the Olympics from over there tonight?
In and between.
Okay. In your viewing, how you find it has been? What's your take on it?
For Trinidad or overall?
Trinidad, more or less. It doesn't have to be strictly to swimming, though, but the Trinidadian athletes.
Me personally, I find that they are doing the best at their ability, and that's all we could ask for, because coming out from last year with that pandemic and knowing that the country was locked down, for them to go out there and to represent their country, even if it's heat, semi-finals or final, I commend all of them because I know they're putting their all on the line.
Nice. And I mean, for viewers watching, I mean, for those of you who don't know, KL, Jada, Akil, right? I mean, they haven't become Olympians as yet, but in their own right, pretty good swimmers, and they have been through it. All guests are national swimmers, regional medalists. They have qualifying times for Junior Pan Am and ambitions of going to the Olympics, right? So, on the topic of Olympics still, who's your favorite swimmer? KL, who's your favorite swimmer?
Where you want current or retired?
Them are both now.
Well, obviously retired Michael Phelps,
Yeah.
and current, I'll say Caleb Russell.
That boy is a powerhouse. So,
Yeah.
wow. How was your favorite race?
100 flyer, of course.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. Jada, what's your favorite swimmer and your favorite race?
From swimmer Keith Ledecky,
I
100%.
could have guessed that one.
My favorite swimmer for years. And
Yeah.
my favorite race from the Olympics or my favorite race in general?
Just general.
I think the 800 was
800. All right. Akil?
My favorite athlete would be Caleb Russell, and the race would be like 100 free.
All right. Nice. So we have seen it in Olympics past, right? And you're at an age now where you're not an age group swimmer anymore, and people your age making Olympics, right? So, Kiel, we'll start with you. How do you feel seeing persons your age and possibly even younger competing and medaling? How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's been going on for years now, you know? It's not like, oh, I'm 21 now, I'm seeing a 21-year-old, 20-year-old, 19-year-old. I think it's really great for them. But I mean, processes move different with each athlete and individual.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not discouraged per se that, all right, someone my age is at the Olympics and I'm still trying to reach there. I commend all people that are doing that at the moment. But for me, I think it adds motivation. So I'm using that as motivation for myself to try and go beyond that, you know. And when my time comes, I'll make it.
Nice. Jada, just around the corner, freshman, right? New kid on the block. I mean, you're seeing persons who you would have, possibly if you were following swimming around the world, you would have seen them, similar age group. How does it make you feel now seeing them on the biggest stage, medaling, giving those more experienced folks a run for the money?
I think it's exciting to see so many new faces. But also it doesn't make me feel discouraged in any way about about being the age, but I'm also seeing 27-year-olds and people in their 30s going to the Olympics. So I don't think there's a time limit.
Okay.
But watching the young people, it's exciting to see. It's really exciting.
Akil, how about you?
Me personally, I take it as an encouragement because it not only shows that not because you're young and you're inexperienced that you could let someone who is either 3-time gold medalist or how much time Olympian beat you. That just shows you that yes, you're young, yes, you're talented, and you're just showcasing your talent on the largest platform.
Nice. The reason I asked that question is because, I mean, I know 3 of you will have aspirations of competing in the Olympics, right? And your answers varied around the exact topic. I was thinking that don't ever put a limit on your talent now, right? You would see persons make Olympics first time in their 30s. They go on to do great things, right? And it's just the message that, hey, you know what? Once you believe, right, you gotta see it up here, you gotta want it, and it's yours, right? I mean, I watched a lot of the backstories. So you would hear, I was watching the guy who broke the 400 hurdles record last night. Oh, I think that was the best performance I've ever seen in athletics by a human being. Hands down. That to do 45 in 400 hurdles, it was fully inspiring. And you're just watching his backstory, right? So I would watch a lot of the outside what happens on the track because too many times we place emphasis on thinking that the athlete is the only person that's on the track. And I realized that there's so much more that made them besides what they show in the pool now, right? So would you all say you all have seen or heard anything through your viewing of the Olympics that has so inspired you or helped you in your mindset preparing for Junior Pan Am or Olympics in the next 4 years? Here, good start.
So actually, I saw a tweet like 20 minutes ago from it was a tweet of Elaine Thompson.
Yeah.
She so in March, I think it was March 5th, she wrote down her aspirations for the year. And basically she wrote down her goals and she said that she wrote it down to manifest it. So like she said, she will be champion. She will go 21.5. She will go 9 point. 10 point. Yeah,
10.5.
So she wrote down all those things, and she played the mental aspect of it, So I believe that I'll be taking that forward and writing down my goals and times that I want to do, not only for this season but going on, and see how that goes.
All right, Jada, what about you? Because I heard when Jason asked you earlier about how you deal with rough times, you gave a very good answer where positive self-talk, right? So, I mean, you saw anything throughout this Olympics? You heard anything that would have kind of left an imprint on you moving forward?
I think, well, not in the Olympics, but I think in general, I think just speaking it into existence. I've heard a lot of Olympians, even at this Olympics, that's what they did. They spoke it into existence. Or I think Michelangelo, the US swimmer, every day he would have his time, I think it's like 20.9 something for a 50 free. He would have it written on top of his bed. So then every morning he'd wake up for morning training, and if he lacks motivation, he would look and he'd see it. And I think I'll try that mindset when I'm at school, if I want to go a goal set in training, or if I want to go a goal time in a meet, I'll write it down. And if I wake up for morning training and I'm like, I don't want to get up, the first thing I'll see is the time, and I'm like, okay,
see it, feel it, believe it, then you do it. Akil, what about you, sir?
Just to reiterate on what Jada said, it's basically the same thing. Like some people, like sometimes I would get up to go training and I wouldn't feel to train. But then I always have to remember, I want my name to be like an example for the future generation to come, even if I'm dead and gone. So, sometimes you just want to leave that impact. So that is what the athletes are doing. They're just, leaving their impact.
All right. And I mean, for the younger viewers, younger athletes who would be listening, I mean, you heard different motivational tactics and inspiration by the three athletes here, right? You have to find what motivates you, right? Akil can say, hey, Jada motivated by this, or KL motivated by this, so I will do that. No, because I'm not going to work for him when he having an off day or when it's 4:40 in the morning and he had to go in the cold pool, right? You have to find what motivates you, right? Talking about motivation and drive, right? There's no wrong answer. It could be totally honest, right? I mean, three of you all have gone to the States to study, right? I mean, the numbers out there competing at your age is far more than you will get in Trinidad, right? But what was or is your main reason? I know, Jada, you'd have answered this earlier, right? What was or is your main reason for leaving Trinidad to pursue studies abroad? Is it academic or sport scale?
For me, I would say both. So ever since I was young, I wanted to go abroad to study. And then the swimming aspect came on at a younger age as well. But my main reasoning is just to be able to train alongside people that are faster than me or on my same level, to give me that extra drive.
All right.
I think that I need.
Jada, yours was, you said, the options of academics out there, not having to be streamlined and held in. Yeah. All right. So, I just want the persons who weren't on earlier, you can just give us a little synopsis of it. What made you decide to go out and pursue your dreams?
Yeah, I think in the States, you have a wide variety of options you can take academic-wise. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm going to study law or I'm going to study medicine. You can try everything and you can see what you want to do. And right now, I have no clue what I want to do in the future. So I think going to the States and having a good variety that I can choose from is helpful. And then with that, you also get collegiate swimming, which I've heard is very fun. And it pushes you and you meet all these new people and you can swim short course yards, which I am very excited to try.
I remember hearing a saying once, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I know the same discipline you have in your swimming and stuff. Regardless where life leads you, you'll be fine because I know you're not going to let anything knock you down or consume you. Mr. Akil. Mr. Akil.
I think basically I could have done like the academics and the swimming back home, but from small, I always told my mom, like to pack your bag, you're going to the Olympics one of these days. So I think like for the best move for me was to like go outside, because the United States is a big country. It has 51 different states. It have more than 500 or 1,000 schools, have different majors and different swimming programs. So basically, the United States is a place designed for you not to fail. If you really put your mind to it and your dreams and your aspirations, you can't fail.
Nice. Well, that perfectly leads in, and that's why I asked, because it perfectly leads into my next question, right? You said it's a big place and you get more competition out there. I mean, I can't ask you all to stay down here because the racing pool is very small at your speed, right? If we were able, back to UKL, if we were able to retain athletes of similar speed or faster than you, would you have been more inclined to stay and train locally?
Yes. So as Aki said before, honestly, if things were, I would say, better, I don't want to bring down anyone, but if things were better and we had athletes at the same speed and caliber as some of us, I wouldn't have mind staying down here, doing university down here and swimming, just having like a local upbringing. But I mean, at the end of it, I still wanted to pursue an education away, and swim just to get that experience. Just, not limit myself to just one place, if you understand what I mean. Like, it will have the same athletes with the same speed and caliber down here, but I feel like if I go away, I'm getting a different variety of like, different set that could work for me, or athlete that trains a specific way that I may not have known about, and I go along with it, and it helps me as well too,
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of aspects and thought to go into that question.
Yeah.
But as I said, I would not have mind staying down here.
All right, Jada, barring academics, right? Would you, let's say sports was it for you, right? Would you have been more inclined, you think, to have stayed and trained locally? Were there, all right, in your distances, persons who would actually give you stiff competition, and it was a nice range of y'all? Would you have been more inclined to stay local and train, or you'd still be like KL and want to experience that different coaching and setting?
I think staying here might have been an option, but I also think that life is about exposure, and I want to go to the States because I want to try new things. I want to come out of my comfort zone. And even though they would have had a competition here, I'm comfortable here. I'm comfortable racing here. I know the people here, but I think going away, I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I have to, adjust. And I think that is crucial in developing as an athlete and as a person on a whole. So I would have wanted to go to the States regardless.
Maybe even us raising our standard, the same diversity you're looking for going out there, we could get persons coming to us for that same diversity. Because now we are a powerhouse. They want to come here to see what we're doing. Same way we go out there in search of, all right, let's see what they're doing, how it can help us. If we set our brand, same way we spoke about in the last segment with corporate, right? We set that brand, get athletes at that elite level. Persons will come, right? The off season, etc. They will want to come here. Invitationals have gone, the numbers have declined poorly, right? I mean, in my days, which wasn't so long ago, we had a lot more persons for invitationals, barring COVID, of course. But yes, let's not go down that road. Akil, right? What about you, sir?
I think drunk or sober away was my.
I hope I'm not drunk.
Sober.
All right, nice.
Was my destination, because it doesn't matter if like everyone down here was at the same level of me, where I know I just keep on pushing harder.
Yeah.
Everyone here is basically under the same pattern, under the same routine. Up here, you have persons from other different countries, other different regions, who, bring their style and flair into the sport of swimming and also their speed. So whereas it's easy, I think it's easier to learn from everyone where they have like different things to add in, than around the same persons. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, the same way people.
I guess we're running the show.
Okay, I think it's time to ask the question.
Me, I had no questions to ask. Akil had to finish off his statement.
No, but
Oh, you finished?
yeah, I finished.
Okay.
Rocky, right?
I don't know where Rocky gone, but yeah, maybe we have to put back. Okay, let's come back.
Avar was bareback.
But let it come out. I thought you was having a good time here. But yes, Akil, so I heard the point and I heard you all laughing how you all took over my show. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you all would have watched episodes, so many you all would have watched in the past, but that's the goal of Coaches Connection, where each one could teach one. And the same way, we no longer, long time, you'd have to make a trip to go away if you want stuff from the States. Now you can bring it in. And it's the same way information, technology could be imported. And we as coaches, really trying to better ourselves for you all the future now. Basically, we know what is out there, we know what we lack here, and we're just trying to bridge that gap, right? From before my times, seems like after my times, we have a big issue with retention in swimming, all right? We know as persons get older, the drop-off rate is high, right? You all have still been swimming, whether it's, and that's why I brought in if it's academic or sport, right? How do you think we can encourage, KL is still starting, how do you think we can encourage retention, right, of swimmers after they pass the years where mommy and daddy forcing them to swim, so to speak?
That's kind of a complicated question, because I mean, yeah, I mean, as I'm still in the sport, right? But growing up, I see multiple swimmers stop because of various reasons, be it finances, being able to like buy tech suits or pay to go on teams, and they just lose motivation, and just stop. That's like 15 to 17. That's around the time, most people stop right after CSEC, because of exams and all those kind of things. But I believe that it all comes down to motivation, because everyone comes in sports and says, oh, I want to go world champs, or I want to go Olympics. Yes, there are a lot of things that come into play, injury, finances, as I would say, and you wouldn't be able to reach that goal, But I think if someone is really motivated in their sport to go onward, I think they'll try to make these sacrifices, not only as a person, but as an athlete, I mean, it's rough all around. But I think the main thing is motivation. I think that we need past swimmers, talking to the upcoming swimmers, the 8 and unders, 9 to 10s, 11 to 12s, 13 to 14s, share their experiences and give them that drive and motivation to know that, all right, we have the talent, and if you put your mind towards it, you could do it. All those things, like for example, we have Sherelle and Dylan at the Olympics. If someone could organize, I know we are COVID times, like a Zoom meeting, with interested athletes, and athletes are probably struggling as to whether they want to continue or not. They could go forth and ask their questions. And I think all those things can help in having retention in swimming,
Yes. Akil, will you take Jada's spot on my screen, so you next?
Me personally, well, we wouldn't have known this from small, but swimming is a very expensive sport. Like, some of us go into swimming not knowing the expenses and stuff down the line, and just simply drop out because the cost is too high, and quote unquote, they don't want to spend that much money on something that they don't think they have a future in. Or maybe it might be like parents, forcing them to swim. So, where they had enjoyed the sport, now they're getting forced to do something. And, children are rebellious. So, because you're forcing me to do something, you're going to make me dislike it. And the fastest opportunity I get a decision, I'm going to drop it because I don't want that stress and frustration over my head. So I think, you just have to keep motivated. You have to have a goal. If your goal is to hit one Olympics, if your goal is to hit one national team, even if your goal is to be the best in the country or the best in the world, despite it's going to have financial problems, it's going to have ups and downs, it's going to have that breaking point, but it happens in all sports and persons survive. So you just have to push through it.
All right. Jada, we saved the best for last, girl. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'll start. I'm not going to repeat what Kale and Axel say, but I'll add on. I think it's critical that at the younger ages, the children just need to enjoy themselves and have fun with these sports. Like, I remember Graham in 9 to 10, he had a 50 fly. And for the whole 50 fly, he just did a one-arm stroke. But like when he touched the wall, he was just so happy. And because he was just having fun. He was having fun and he was just having a great time. My parents were like, okay, you got disqualified, but you had a good time. So I think it's in order for them to be serious when they're older, they shouldn't feel so much pressure when you're at such a young age, when you're in 9, 10, 11, 12. It's now for you to get into sport and see if you enjoy it. And then another thing is sometimes it might be difficult, as Kale said, to balance academics with the sport because, some people might have lessons after school or they might have to stay back and do a lab and then you're interrupting training time and then your schedule just completely falls off. So maybe the integration of sport into our education system might help. Yeah, maybe that might help. And, but I think the important thing is having the children enjoy it from young and not feel pressured, not like they shouldn't have the pressure of trying to make the Olympics at 12 years old, 11 years old, just enjoy it. And then when they reach a little bit older, they're like, okay, this might be what I want to do. They have to fall in love first. And then.
And the point you mentioned there, remember persons are watching you all, right? And they are strength in numbers. So as you all go, wherever life leads you all come back home from time to time, take part in a little meet, let the younger ones see you. Remember who you were. So you were, let's say, with 2 age groups above them. They see you now, look, Jada's still swimming. Wait, it's cool to still be swimming when you reach 20. So. And you never realize, think about when you were young, right? The things that stood out to you, the persons that impacted you, how long it lasts now, right? So Jada, this last question wouldn't be for you, but you can listen, or I'm sure you'd have gotten advice as well from your brother and stuff. But Kale and Akil, right? What would you say has been the biggest impact on you sports-wise the States has had? Yeah, they could start us off.
Sure. The biggest impact for me at the moment is being able to have that separation of distances, so down here we don't really have that variation of groups, like sprint group, mid-distance group, distance group. So I know certain clubs have different varieties of swimming. My club is mainly we do distance and sprint, which is pretty good as well. But I find when I go up there and I'm in certain groups, so I would alternate between sprint group and mid-distance group. It's really helping me both in my endurance aspect and sprint aspect, because I am able to work on power, speed, dives, turns, finishes on one aspect. And then in mid-distance, I get to do my 200s, 300s, work 200 flies, So
you put out a straight face, boy. You like that?
yeah. So I mean, just variation for me. I think that's the biggest impact because I've seen a great amount of improvements within myself on that. Nice. I mean, right now I can't do the distances I could do back then. Yeah. Which is the downside of it when you focus on your specific thing. But I mean, once you focus on your specific thing, you're going to get better at it, you know? So.
Indeed. Akil?
I think basically, you know, up here just a greater opportunity, a different culture. The coaches up here have a different way of getting across maybe the same thing that you have been learning back home and you just couldn't catch. Well, to the University of Indianapolis, where I swim at, like the swimming there is amazing. As KL said, the groups are categorized in like sprint, middle distance, long. So it's not like is any keep back or setback. It's just fast pace going forward because everybody is at the same speed and the same caliber. So you know you're just wasting the time and the other person, whether it be male or female.
Nice. Well, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. We are trying to throw some little gas and kerosene here on the swimming in Trinidad. When you all come, just make sure to put a little flame and eventually it will be ignited and we will get where we want to be in swimming in the country. Continue to fly our flag high, all right, and do your best. You all continue to make us proud. I thank you all and I thank the viewers for tuning in to Coaches Connection. I'll be closing the show this evening. I don't think Jason's coming back on. So, pleasant evening, everyone. Thanks again. All the best,
Thank you.